Hello Wonderland, Kelly here, back at my desk, still a mess. I really need to figure out a good studio kind of setup in here. But anyway, wanted to do another Lightroom episode and another kind of Lightroom basics episode. So want to talk about how to get around in Lightroom, how to organize things, some keyboard and other shortcuts and tips and tricks and some stuff like that. So not editing per se today, but just navigating the software and getting comfortable and learning some shortcuts and handy things to know. All right, so let me start recording on the computer. And here we're in Lightroom. All right, so as a general tour, if you will, up at the top right, you've got your different modules. 99.9% of the time, all I'm ever using is the library module and the develop module. Library, of course, is where you import and export and kind of organize and tag images. Develop is the editing stuff, naturally. Map would be handy, actually, if I had a camera that did GPS. None of mine do right now, so that would be interesting if I could geotag all of my images, which I could do manually, but that would be difficult. And then book and slideshow, print and web, that's all more for like wedding photographers who are delivering a web gallery or a print book or making prints. I do use the print module once in a while just to, if I want to get multiple images into one sheet for a printer, like an 8x10 with 4 images or something like that. You can do that in the print module, but generally speaking, library and develop is where you're going to be most of the time, I would guess. So to get back and forth between those, keyboard shortcuts are Control Alt and then numbers. So Control Alt 1 is library. If I hit Control Alt 2, that takes me to develop, and so on and so forth. But that's 3 keys you have to hit. I do it with 1. So if I'm in library and I want to get to develop, often I will just hit the R key. That will take you right to the crop tool within the develop module. So anytime you invoke a developing tool, it's going to take you to the develop module. Make sense? And then if I want to go back to the library, I'll typically hit G for grid view, and that gives you this grid view. Or you can hit E, and that'll take you to the Loupe view, which is one image as big as it can display in here. And you can toggle back and forth. So if I hit G, I hit E, I hit R, you can just pop right around. And that's nice. I like being able to get around like that. Checking my notes. Okay, so when I import a batch of images from the memory card, the first thing you want to do, of course, is cull them. And that's picking out the ones you want to keep, the ones you want to edit, and the ones you want to toss. And the way I do that is the flags. And again, a lot of this, I don't consider myself a Lightroom expert. This is just how I've come to use it over the years. If it works for you, awesome. If you find a better way, rock on, right? But what I do is use the flagging, and that's pretty easy. So I'll go to an image, double click to zoom in or switch to the Loupe view. Yeah, and then you can use the arrow keys to go back and forth. Click where you want to zoom in, and we'll talk more about zooming in a little bit, but if I want to check for critical sharpness, look, see how the noise is looking, and if I need to run it through a DxO or AI denoise in Lightroom, etc., you can do all that. Then if I want to pick an image, say this one, you can hit the P key, and that will flag as pick. If I want to reject it, say focus was off, I'll hit X, and that flags it as a reject. And if you want to clear the flag that you've added either way, you can hit U, and that removes the flag. Easy enough. There's a setting in here, and now I forget exactly where it is, but you can automate it so that when you press a flag button, it automatically moves to the next image. I don't do that because that's really not how I cull. I'll kind of, if I've got a series of shots that are similar, like this red-winged blackbird, that was cool. He sung right then. So yeah, I'll just kind of go through. I like that moment. I like that moment, you know, and kind kind of pick out of that batch which one I want to flag. And then if there's others that I think maybe I'll want to use later or might look good as alternatives, I'll leave those unflagged. But any that are just duplicates, out of focus, anything I want to toss, I'll reject those. And then you can go to the grid view, and down here you've got your filter, and you can filter by flagged images, and you can combine this, so you can do flagged and unflagged, for instance, if I know what I'm doing. Flagged or rejected, just rejected. I don't have anything rejected right now. Yeah, there's flagged and unflagged. I don't know why it misclicked a little bit there. But yeah, so you can filter that way. Let's see. Flags are good. Let's talk virtual copies real quick. So if you've got an image and you've edited it, and maybe you like the edit, but you wonder if you can do better, what you can do in Lightroom is right-click it and click Create Virtual Copy. And what that does is just duplicate the image within Lightroom. It doesn't create a second copy on your hard drive or anything, because the way Lightroom works, the raw image is untouched. It just applies your adjustments on the fly within Lightroom. So I like that it's a non-destructive editor like that. That's one of the big reasons that I'm a fan of Lightroom in the first place. So yeah, so now I've got one raw file, but I can have 2, 3, as many edits as I want. So if I'm thinking, hey, maybe this would look good as a black and white, I can hit R to go to the develop tool, even though that takes me to the crop tool, but that's okay. You can click, these are your tools over here as well. So edit, that's just your normal sliders and everything. Crop tool, healing tool, red eye removal, which I don't shoot people much these days, so I don't use that one much, and masking. But yeah, if I'm here, say I want to apply a preset for black and white, maybe one of these, can do that. And then I've got my original edit and a second one that's monochrome, or whatever other color treatment I might want to do. And that's actually a good segue if you want to compare images. So I can select both of these and hit C, and I can see them side by side. And that's an interesting way. I don't use that a whole lot, but if you want to compare a couple of edits for that kind of thing, you can do that. And you can actually, click, you can shift click to change which image is in which tab. Yeah. Fun stuff. What else do I have? We talked about the grid view. Oh, that's an interesting tidbit. So when you are, let's say I had flagged some of these as rejected images. I'm going to filter on flagged, even though, just to narrow it down here. So if I'm in the Loupe view, I can multi-select down here in the film strip. Say I select these 5. But if I want to delete images, if I press delete right now, it'll only remove the primary selected photo. In the grid view, you can multi-select and hit delete, and it would remove all 5, or however many you have selected. So that's kind of handy to know when you're cleaning up. You might want to do it in the grid view, and that way you can batch delete rejected images. Let's see, panels. So all these panels on the side, if you hit Shift Tab, you can get rid of those. I never do that. I like to see the panels. Some other views though, if you press F, you can toggle between, actually F is a full screen preview of whatever image you're looking at, and you can still use the arrow keys there to scroll through images as well. Hit F again, and you're back to whatever view you were looking at. Where I was going with that, though, if you hit Shift and F, you can cycle through the different screen modes Lightroom has. So this is the basic one. You've got still see your Start menu down at the bottom or on the side, wherever you might have it in Windows. By the way, I'm on Windows 11, so Mac is probably similar. I'm sure you know the equivalent keyboard shortcuts if you're on a Mac. Yeah, and I've got the title bar at the top, but if I hit Shift F, that top bar goes away to give me a little more real estate on the screen. If I hit Shift F again, the start menu goes away too. So that's a way to make Lightroom take up more of your screen if you want things a little bit bigger. Typically, I just leave it as is, but I kind of like the view without the start menu and without the title bar. And that way, if I go to a Loupe view, the photo's a bit bigger. And of course, if you hit F anyway, you're getting that full screen preview. Cool stuff. All right, good, good, good. So let's talk zooming. This is kind of a fun one. Let me find a suitable image to zoom in on. How about this goose fight? This was fun. Okay, so up here in this navigator window, you've got these different zoom options. So fit makes the image as big as it can be, fitting within this real estate. And down here, there's a little dragger over the film strip. So if you want to make your film strip images bigger, you can, but that makes your image preview window smaller, of course. I tend to keep my film strip fairly small, so this is bigger up here. You can also do fill there. Yeah, and that crops a little bit of the image if necessary, but it makes it take up that whole area. But I want to see the full image, so I leave that set to fit. Then you've got 100% if you want to zoom in to the pixel level. Let that sharpen up here real quick. So Mr. Goose who's getting attacked looks okay. You can go to 200. And that starts to look more pixelated because you're going beyond the pixel level. And you can go as high as 1600%, which, yeah, that's super pixelated, and I never do that. But I usually leave it set. Actually, I use the smaller ones. So, yeah, let's go to 12%. And that's about the smallest you can get. So when you click on the image, it's going to kind of toggle between your regular view, either your fit or fill, and the last zoom setting that you used. So if my last zoom was actually zoomed out to 12%, so if I click, it's going to shrink. If I want to go back to 100%, I can click up here, click again, and it goes back to fit, and click, and I'm back at 100%. So keep that in mind, that whatever zoom level you use last is what your clicking is going to do, centered on the cursor, of course. But I usually leave this up here set like this. So I've got my fit, I've got 100% because that's what I use to check sharpness, and then 12%, which is handy, and I'll show you why. So if I zoom out to 12%, go to the Develop module and do a mask. Let's say I'm looking at this and I think a corner, like one corner, could be a little brighter or darker. I can make a radial gradient. I can start outside the frame and just have it affect whatever region I want. Like that. Say I want this to be darker right here. I can do that. Or if I wanted that whole bottom to be darker, I could do it like this. Put it about up here. Actually, let's do this. You want it to come down from the top like that. Like this, and then invert it. And then it's only affecting this area down here where I don't have the mask applied. See how that works? Well, how did I get that view? Yeah, there. And actually, I do kind of like that. If I go back to fit, I didn't do that in the original edit, but I kind of like how it makes this go away a little bit down at the bottom. All right, fun stuff. Let's see. All right. Oh, quick collection is a good one. So flagging is what I use to cull. Let's talk color labels as well. So I'm back to the grid. And you can probably see I'm on flagged photos. So as you're going through here, you can see some of these are color tagged blue. And if I filter, you can filter on the color tags as well. So these are the blue ones. I've been using blue to tag or flag the images that I want to run through either DxO Pure Raw or AI denoise. So good images, I want to edit them, but first I want to run them through noise reduction. So instead of flagging them, I'll color tag them blue. And the shortcut key for that is 9, and it's a toggle. So if I'm on this image, say I've got a don't have to be zoomed in. I can still be in the grid, but I hit 9. I already had it flagged as blue, but that just undid it because it turned it off, the flag. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. So yeah, you can use any color you want, of course, or you can use different colors for different things, as I do too. So at the end of the year, I always put together my top 100 photos. So how I usually do that is I'll go up here to Catalog and All Photographs for the year. Filter to my flagged images only. Oh, and you can see here you're combining labels. So if it's flagged and blue is what I'm seeing, which really shouldn't exist, but there you go. But here's all my flagged images. So I would look through these and say I want to use red to tag the ones, my contenders for the top 100. You can go through that. And there's a keyboard shortcut for that as well. And I'm not sure what it is. Is it 6? It's 6. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 are the 5 colors over here. Yeah, so I'll undo that as well. And you can flag up to purple. There's a custom color label. That's interesting. I don't usually use that. And when you're filtering, you can filter to your uncolor labeled images as well. But the quick collection is another thing. So that lives right here, Quick Collection Plus it's called. And that I will usually use as kind of a temporary tagging. So say I want to export a batch of images that I'm going to put on Amazon Photos for my Echo device to rotate through. I would look at all my photos. Again, I would probably filter to the flagged ones. In that case, I really only want landscape for the Echo show screen. So I could go through here. I could say, hey, this is pretty good. I like that. And the key for that is B. So B is going to add it to the quick collection, and that's another toggle. So if I wanted to remove it, I would hit B again, and that removes it. So it's kind of an on-off switch. And then the images that you have in your quick collection, you can just look at those right here and see how many. Very nice. And then if you want to clear the quick collection, of course, I could Control A to select all, hit B to remove that quick collection flag, and they all go away from the quick collection. Not deleting them. Very good, very good. Let's see, compare. Ooh, I was talked about compare, but let's look at before and after. So again, I'm going to go to grid. I'm not filtered on anything, but let me look at flagged photos. Find one in here that I think would be a dramatic change, like maybe this guy. And again, there you see I can do fit, I can do zoom out, go back to 100%. There we go. If I want to do a before and after, I would hit Y. But I need to be in the develop module for that. There you go. Okay. So here is before. So this is an unedited, what it looked like unedited, and this is after my edits. If I pick another one, yeah, before and after, so you can see what the edit did. And that's pretty cool. You can also do Shift Y, and that gives you this split screen kind of view. So same frame on both halves, just one half edited and one half not. And that's kind of an interesting look as well. And if you want this line to go the other way, horizontally, hit Alt-Y. And that kind of does the same thing there. And if I want to leave that view, keep hitting Y until you're back to normal. And then another interesting view, if you want to see an image with no distractions, you can hit L. And that's lights on or off, basically. And it cycles through a few different levels. So this is the normal view. This is lights dimmed, so you can barely see your menus over here. And L again makes that all black. And then you're just seeing the image on the screen. And that's kind of handy if you want to be undistracted and take a look at that. All right. Very nice. Look and see if I missed anything. Oh, if you happen to have a 2-monitor setup, I don't. But you can press F11, and that will give you a separate window that you can use as your photo editing kind of thing. So it can show you the grid of photos as a navigation aid, basically, to put that window over onto your second screen. And again, since I don't have a two-screen setup, I don't usually use that, although it would be handy to add at some point. All right, I'm looking here, flags, catalog, we talked about that. Let's talk a little bit about flagging and filtering, tagging and filtering. So over here on the right, when you're in the library module, you've got your keyword list. And you can this is totally up to you what you want to do with it. I tag all of my images with a few things. So I do gear tags, first of all, where I tag what camera I used, what lens I used. And sometimes if it's like a manual focus lens, I'll tag it with this manual focus tag, and so on and so forth. But mostly I just tag camera and lens. And an easy way to do that, if I'm looking, let me look at a previous import. Oh, let's talk about that too. I'm jumping around a little bit, sorry. Hope this isn't overwhelming. But down here you can see this says all photographs. That's what I'm viewing right now. If you click that line, you can look at folders, you can look at the previous import, or your quick collection. So if I know I want to look at my January folder, say, I can just click that. That shows me everything that's in that January folder. And this is a handy tip too. I'm really jumping around, sorry. When you click on a top level folder, you can toggle or switch whether you want it to show objects in subfolders or not. And that's under library, yes, show folders and subfolders. You see that's checked right now. So at the moment, I'm seeing everything in this main folder as well as everything in these folders underneath. But if I switch that off, then I'm just seeing the photos in the main folder. And if I want to see what's in a subfolder, I have to click on it. Make sense? And that's handy too. Sometimes you want to see everything, sometimes you don't. So yeah, that's what that's for. But where was I? Tagging, yes, okay. So up here, text, attribute, metadata, none. So right now I'm on none, so I don't have any of this subdata viewed. But if I click on metadata, this is the EXIF data basically that your camera writes into the image file when you take a photo. So you can select different things in each of these. All of this is in that data. I typically leave one set to camera, one set to lens. I've got a label over here that doesn't really do anything. That's color labels, yeah. But say if I'd used multiple cameras in this import somehow, or this folder, I would see that. But if I want to quickly tag everything that was taken with the R5, I select this, that filters the view, Control A to select them all, and then I can just tag them all with my Canon R5 tag. Similarly, with the lens, this is the 35 1.8 macro, and I have 51 images taken with that, one image taken with the 24 to 105, but here's the 35, again, Control A to select them all, and then I would tag them with this. This is the format I use for my lens tagging, just to stay consistent. So Canon RF or EF, if it was an older EF lens, the focal length or zoom range. So like I've got 35 and 50, I've got 14 to 35. I don't use a dash, yeah. And then F and the minimum aperture, maximum aperture, and then anything else, like if it's an L, IS, USM, all that stuff. And that lets me, when I upload all my keepers to Flickr, and that lets me search my Flickr by lens tag as well. So yeah, that's handy. I do that. You can also tag, and I do, by location. So I've got here my places folder, each state that I've been to. I've been carrying this keyword list from catalog to catalog over the years, so I didn't go to all these places this year. But yeah, the state, I'll go down to county, and then within the county, different individual locations. And that's handy both for me to search on Flickr or within Lightroom, and people can search my photos on Flickr by location. and that helps them find them for use in like stock photos or on websites and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's handy. If you're a wildlife photographer like I am, you can tag different, scientific species, families, genuses, all that stuff if you wanted. I don't do that, but I really should. I do have tags just for like nature and birds and stuff like that, but I should get more specific with that. And then anything else extra, like if it was a kayaking trip, if it was a drone photo, I have drone here with the drones that I've used. I should get rid of my Mini 2. I'm going to delete that tag because I don't use that one. And I don't use that one either. 50D, probably not going to use that. Yeah, you can clean up your tag list from time to time. And then you can filter on tags as well. So this text up here, and then this is always searching within the folder you've got selected. So if I say I go to all photographs, I want to see everything I've taken at Dutch Gap so far this year. Again, text here, any searchable field is good. You can narrow it down to keywords, but any searchable is fine with me. Dutch. And then that's all the photos that I've taken at Dutch Gap so far this year. And again, within this, I should be able to filter by flagged photos, also all taken at Dutch Gap. Nice. Let's see, I talked about color labels, quick collection, combining filters is actually the last thing on my list right now. Yes. Okay, so, and I mentioned this a little bit already. So if I've got photos in here, and I do in my all photographs, let me turn the filter off right now. This is everything. I've got some that are flagged. I've got some that are color labeled. Say I want to look for photos that are both flagged and color labeled. I could do that. So I can click flagged and labeled blue. And I don't have any because of the way I use that function, right? Usually I either tag it or color it, flag it or color it. And then once I've run it through the denoise, that's when I flag that image that came back. And the thing to remember here is that within flags or within colors, you're combining. And I didn't talk about star ratings. Let me talk about that too. Okay. Yeah, so within each one of these subgroups, you're combining. So I can do flagged and unflagged and labeled blue. I can do labeled blue or green, let's say. I don't have any. Yeah, but I can't do or. It's not an or. Does that make sense? I can't do flagged or blue. It has to be kind of one or the other. Yeah, so I've got my labeled blue, but if I want to combine that with a flagged, it has to be both. Does that make sense? I can't do a view that's both my flagged and my labeled blue. Yeah. Okay, so you've got star ratings, and that can be another way when you're culling. Images that you kind of like could get a star. Images that you really like could get 5 stars and that kind of thing. I don't usually find myself using that. And that's the 1 through 5 keys. So if I'm looking at this image, say I like it, I give it a 1 star. That's set rating to 1. And that would then show up here. And 1 again. So to undo it, it's 0. Yeah. 2 stars, 3 stars, 0 to undo. And that is that. All right. So we kind of went all over the place and covered a lot of stuff real quick. But I hope this was useful and gave you some good tips, shortcuts, ways to get around. That was the idea. If you have any questions, obviously, let me know. Anything you would like me to cover in the future, feel free to ask. Yeah, hope this was helpful. Till next time, be good to yourself. Take care of each other. Don't forget to be awesome. Get out and wander. Or sit here and edit photos. That's what I'm going to be doing. All right, till next time.